And we are live, and you can't go live on your Twitter.
Yes, I can. Where's the song?
But first, hello, y'all. The season's back.
Yeah.
We're here. It is episode 26 of Fourth and Wrong. Today is August 21st. It is game week for some of us on this podcast.
It is.
There's a lot coming back. It's not just college football, Chris. The Angry Fans Hotline.
That's
is also
true.
coming back. This week, we'll remind you again at the end. Those of you that have been listening to the show for the last few years know we have got our Angry Fans Hotline. Call in pre-game if you want to talk some shit to the opponent. Mid-game, if you're struggling, you need some advice. We're not going to call you back, certainly, but
well, you never know how lonely I'll get.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll just answer one of these calls and we'll just talk.
Why don't you have a hat on?
I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird. We're hat boys. Remember? That's our whole. Remember we call ourselves that? Hat boys.
Oh yeah, them hat boys down from GA. If you want to call us after the game because you're hammered, like a lot of you have been when you've called,
that's
or you're sad or you're happy, give us a call, leave us a message. We'll post the best ones on social media. The number to remind you all, and we'll put it in the notes as well of the podcast. Maybe we'll make a banner. Maybe Chris can make a quick banner.
I'm going to do it right now. Delay. Tell them about all the benefits you get from being a hotline caller.
A premium subscription to our Angry Fans content.
Right. Now that comes with several things. Feet pics.
Yep.
You're not going to like them, but you'll get them.
Yeah, I think they'll just mostly be our feet.
Yeah, and it's not like just to manage expectations. It's not anything that is like good lighting or like posing. It'll just be kind of blurry 1 second live photos of our feet. Give me the number though. Okay.
So the number when you call into the Angry Fans Hotline is 770-8233. 674-8233. You said, Tyler? I did. That's 770, which is an Atlanta area code.
Yeah.
674-8233. Give us a call. Number. Tell us where you're from, your name. Maybe you just want to go first name. Maybe you don't want the world to know exactly who you are. Maybe you do. That's up to you.
No, I don't. I'm not. We're going to prioritize people that actually say who their identity is. I'm not dealing with a bunch of fucking burners on Twitter and on what do you call it? Our Angry Fans line.
No,
maybe that guy that made fun of me for the engagement will be back.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
That guy called from a abandoned Planet Fitness, and then without ever talking to me again, was like, "Come on, man, we buried that a long time ago, brother. Like, we're good." I was like, "Oh, okay."
You're like, "Wait, what did I bury?"
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. We're gonna be talking a little season predictions. We're gonna be talking. There you go. Hot start.
We can do anything in show, dude. With Canva, we can do anything.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little playoff predictions, national championship predictions, Heisman predictions.
Yeah.
Talk about SEC tiebreakers that came out today. And, Chris, there are games this weekend.
Dude.
Notably one, Florida State University.
Is that what it stands for?
The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in Ireland, noon on Saturday. We'll get into that game with our picks. Chris?
Well, hold on.
It has arrived. Are you just gonna play the whole thing?
The whole time.
Okay.
It's a Freebird version of Georgia Tech's fight song.
Good. Yeah, I saw a pic floating around. Jimbo's in Ireland. I don't know what he's doing there, but
No,
maybe he's covering the game for ESPN. Did he get a job?
I doubt it. He doesn't need it, dude. I wouldn't do shit. I wouldn't do it. Also, let's just talk about this for a second. What is?
Just can't
I
stay
need
away
a
from
friendly refresher on why. What is y'all's fucking deal with Kirk Herbstreit? Like, I just don't get it still.
I don't want to get into this, Chris.
Well, you guys are going there, and like all I've seen on Twitter from FSU fans is like, "Yo, dude, Kirk Herbstreit's gonna be. You better get another therapy, dog." It's like you might just want to get therapy. Like, what is going on that you guys are so angry about still?
I think that most people, since he is the voice of college football, essentially, thought that he went out of his way to talk everyone out of Florida State deserving to be in the playoff.
It was his fault.
No, he's one of many. I'm sure Boo Radley's been getting some, or whatever his name is.
Did I?
Maybe not so.
Why did I lose my blue check?
What?
I can't go live. I've lost my blue check.
That's what I've told you the last 2 episodes that we've done.
What the fuck happened? That's weird. Well, either way.
Somebody's
yeah, you guys will not let that go. It is.
No, we won't until new games start. So hopefully this is the last. Look, you haven't heard me bitch about it like that since December.
You're bitching about everything else all the time. The old me and Tyler have been fighting off air for the last couple days because
Badgers.
Listen, I'm going for Georgia Tech because I like Georgia Tech, and I'm tired. Listen, you can pull for. I don't give a shit if you pull for Georgia when they lose to Bama again. That's fine.
All right. No. Yeah. I told you that's maybe a bridge too far for me.
That is fair.
But I will go for the Wisconsin Badgers. Tyler Van Dyke. Ever heard of him?
Dude, we should have now that we both have real jobs, we should just have gone to a game. So I guess we still can.
You know, I did get an offer from a listener that I've hung out with that is like a diehard Georgia Southern guy. And he's like, he's like, I've got season tickets. He's like, I've got the great setup down there. Well, I think he may have said like sit in a box. I don't know, something like that.
At Georgia Southern?
Yeah. And he was like, if you ever want to go down, just let me know. Cause I've never been to a game there. I've just been on campus like in the spring. And I was like, that'd be kind of cool to shoot content from a Sunbelt game, like a big like App State.
Dude, if they did a Tuesday night Georgia Southern game, I would be down for that.
Yeah, be fun.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like we'd have to get, well, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've never been to Statesboro, but all I've heard about it is just that everyone's drunk and everyone has chlamydia. So it should be fun.
Well, the good news is that you're not out to get chlamydia. You're a taken man.
Yeah.
So that doesn't even apply to you, really.
No, I've moved on. I'm in a happy relationship. If anything, I'm not going to get herpes. I'm going to get his and herpes, Tyler. Am I right? Huh? Remember that time I told a joke on stage and no one ever laughed at it? Like, not once. You were at that show, and I was like, what if we just called it his and herpes? And no one laughed. It was real bad.
Yeah. Now it's like you could parlay that into a pronoun joke.
We're not sanctioned by anyone right now. We are fully funded by ourselves. We can talk about whatever we want. Also, I have a story for you real quick. You need to follow SEC Unfiltered back. They're about to retweet us. I don't know what I did to my Twitter, but okay. So you remember a couple years ago when that crazy Kentucky fan, Ollie, his name was I said that that Ole Miss was going to beat Kentucky, and the reasons why were like Kentucky's offensive line is pretty bad at protecting the quarterback, and Will Levis and Chris Rodriguez always seem to have fumble issues at the most inopportune times. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you remember this, but Ole Miss won that game like 22-19 because Kentucky fumbled inside of Ole Miss's 20 with like less than a minute to go. Yeah. So to be nice, he was like, "Hey man, just bury the hatchet. I know I said some horrible things about you. I sent you a bottle of bourbon." And so I was like, I remember talking to SC Mike about this, and I was like, I'm not giving this guy my address. And he's like, don't give that guy your address. And I was like, okay. So he sent it.
Like a bottle of anthrax.
So he sent so my buddy Casey Hampton, one of our listeners and good friends of mine, he had this condo in Atlanta. And I stayed there for a while when I was going through 2022. And he's like, dude, like he was moving out and he's about to sell it. So I used his address with permission.
Okay.
And he like the day he was showing it to his the day he was showing it or whatever, he got a package addressed to me and he went to go open it and it was just a box full of wood shavings. And then an empty bottle of Diet Coke and an empty bottle of bourbon.
No.
And it was like, hey Chris, fuck you, go Cats or whatever. You've heard this story before.
I've never heard this story,
dude. It was and Casey was so fucking mad because he was showing the apartment that day. Like he was showing the apartment and he was like the place was completely spick and span, right? So I'm currently in Fort Lauderdale right now at Casey Hampton's place. I'm house sitting for him and watching his dog because he's doing like some eat, pray, love bullshit in Alaska. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I was telling him a couple weeks ago, I was like, dude, this fucking internet situation is dog shit. And we were catching up. He's like, I kind of need someone to house sit for me. Would you be interested in doing it? I was like, yeah. So I'm just chilling down here at Fort Lauderdale. Like it's, whatever. So I get here like last Thursday and I haven't seen Casey in person in like probably a year or so. And he goes, dude, I have a package for you that I've had for like 2 years. And I was like, oh God. And he pulls it out and it's from Ollie. And I was like, this motherfucker. Same guy.
Okay.
And I was like, 2 years. He's had it for 2 years just sitting in a drawer.
Unopened. A second package. Real bottle? Was it
real bottle? Completely sealed.
I've
gone through it. This is my work. A bottle of Coke, a nice card, and then randomly, I don't know the reference on this one, but then he in like a 200 pack of orange Tic Tacs. I don't know what that one was.
You said he's a Kentucky fan?
Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't think too much about it, but it was nice that I got the bottle of Buffalo Trace. So
maybe like Auburn.
I don't know. Cheers to Ollie, though.
Yeah, cheers, Ollie. Oh, right from the bottle. I love that.
We're back, dude. Like we are back. I feel like we're both thriving right now too. I know I am.
Yeah, good. I am too. I'm happy. I will say I'm nervous about the Georgia Tech game, but I think it's just more first game jitters. You don't really know what the team's going to be,
or because y'all are going to lose.
A lot of hype around Georgia Tech right now. The line has moved considerably, 13 to 10.5 at the moment.
Dude, I didn't know they returned all 5 offensive linemen.
Should we just preview that game and then get into the rest of the season stuff?
I don't know how to open up shows. Honestly, man, I was thinking about this the other day. One of the reasons I love doing the show so much, besides getting to do it with you, is that we can just come on here and like bullshit and talk our way through most stuff. I'll do those locked on shows, and I won't get into the content until like 3.5 minutes. People are like, "Can you fucking get to the point, please?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Not exactly my strong suit, getting to the point.
No, it never has been. Up to you. It's your. Listen, I'll default to you because it's your team's first game. We can do that if you want.
Let's do that, and then we'll talk all mostly SEC and like just national stuff. All right, 10.5 current line. Total 55.5. This game is in Dublin, Ireland. Booza in the chat.
Booza
didn't make it to Ireland either. It's okay. I do have some buddies over there now. Seems like they're having a great time. Let's start with Georgia Tech. Okay, Haynes King, starter at QB, started all 13 games last year. Third team All ACC. I don't know if people knew that. Threw for 2,800 yards last year, 27 touchdowns. Did throw 16 picks, which is a lot. But he was also the number 2 rusher on the team. Had 737 yards, 6.1 yards per attempt. He was the second QB ever at Georgia Tech to throw for 4+ TDs in 3 games in one season. Joe Hamilton. Yeah. Yep. And he and Jaden Daniels, the only 2 QBs in college last year that had at least 2,700 yards throwing, at least 600 yards rushing, over 25 passing touchdowns, and over 5 rushing touchdowns. He and Jaden Daniels, the Heisman.
I don't care how this sounds. That stat makes me so horny for football. That is like, we are so fucking back. That's awesome. Yeah. So obviously he's not Jaden Daniels, but people do forget about this. And part of the reason they forget about it is because Haynes King looks like fucking King Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Like he looks ridiculous, but he's a dual threat guy that was like a former, I believe he's a 5-star, wasn't he?
I know he raised up considerably late in the process. I don't know if he ever made it to a 5-star or not, but definitely 4-star.
I mean, he's a good quarterback. And like, listen, we make our Jimbo jokes all the time, but one of the things that I think that people do tend to forget about is he was the starter that was chosen in 2021, I think it was, for A&M, but he just got injured. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's a dude that ran track, I believe, in high school. Like he's a very gifted athlete, even though he does not look like it. It's crazy because the ups and downs of his career so far, like he's had some really good moments, like the Miami game. Like that's, regardless of how stupid that was from Cristobal, like that's a very tough situation to still come back and win once you get the ball back.
Yeah, they still have to go down the field.
Yeah. And I love the fact that with Tech this year, you do have all 5 offensive linemen returning. Brent Key, they're going to be good up front because Brent Key is such a good coach with that. And he comes from this tree of like, you know, like the Kirby Smart and Nick Saban thing where it's like, you're going to build the team from the inside out in the trenches and be good up front. So I love the fact that going into year 2, which is when we see the most consistent jump for programs from a new coach from year 1 to year 2. You know, I think on average you see points per game usually goes up about 7 points or 7, maybe it's like 7.8. So it's like around 8 points on average from year 1 of a head coach to year 2 when he's at a program. So I think they're going to be better. I love that they got Christian Leary, former Bama guy, former high 4-star. I think he was like a top 50 or like 70 overall recruit.
Their leading team last year was a true freshman. He had 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. He was the first. Remember the name Kelly Campbell, early 2000s receiver at Georgia Tech?
Tennessee or Georgia Tech?
Tech. This kid, Eric Singleton, who's their number 1, he was the first Georgia Tech player to score a touchdown in 4 straight games since Kelly Campbell in 2000.
That's a deep cut, man. That's fucking 8th grade. Wow.
So it's been 24 years since, or 23, I guess, at the time that someone had done that as a true freshman last year. He comes back. Their running back's a beast. Jamal Haynes. What I didn't know, it's like, Haynes and Haynes is back there in the backfield.
Oh, Haynes King, yeah, the head off.
They moved him from wide receiver to running back in camp last year, and all he did was produce 1,100 yards on the ground. Had 400-yard games, including one against Clemson. Like, he's legit good.
Yeah.
And their O-line has 128 career starts. 2 of the guys, their center and their right tackle, were all ACC members last year. So, and like you said, Brent Key, former, obviously, Georgia Tech O-lineman, coached O-line at Bama. He's an O-line guy. They're going to be good.
Yeah.
The problems for them last year were on defense. They were terrible.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop the run. They've finished number 85 or worse in total defense for 5 straight years.
That's insane.
Yeah. So they bring in the DC from Duke, who actually did a pretty admirable job for Duke and the talent level that they have. They brought in 9 transfers on defense. 5 starters are back. They should be improved, but the question is, how improved can they be in game 1 against an offense that should be a very good running team this year? And that was what they struggled with the most last year. So,
yeah, I think some of the things with Haynes King, I'm pulling up some of these numbers right now because I remember. So they lost to Louisville in the first game of the year. Do you remember that game?
It was a close game, wasn't it?
They lost by 5, but Georgia Tech had like a 21-point lead.
Yeah, and Louisville they only lost. Well, I guess they lost to Kentucky in the last game to be two losses in the regular season. Yeah.
But they lost that game, and then they go play Ole Miss and lost 48-23, which was kind of expected. They beat Wake Forest, so they're 2-2, Tyler. And I will never forget this. They were putting up points, especially early on in games. Like they were really good in the first half, and I remember hammering Georgia Tech versus Bowling Green.
Ooh, yeah.
Do you remember that? The line was only like 14.5. And I think in the first half, it was like 7.5. They lost that game 27-38 at home. And this is one of the problems you saw with Haynes King. He goes 23 of 37 for 348 yards, right? almost over 9 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The interceptions were so costly. I think he also had a fumble mixed in there. Like they were like in their own side of the field. Like Bowling Green, like handled Georgia Tech in that game. And I look at some of these games too. It's like, all right, you played Boston College, right? He had a stretch where he threw. Oh, this is the person's house that I'm house sitting. I'm recording the show.
Hey, we're just about to push off.
I'm recording the show. Just text me.
Okay, bye.
Bye. I thought something was
So
wrong by that.
professional.
I know, right? So somebody said I lost all respect for Florida State after last year.
What little he had already.
We
It's all
found her fridge burner. I love this. No, but so like start of the year, right? Louisville, 3 touchdowns, one interception. South Carolina State, who's South Carolina State, but 4 TDs. He got off to a start where he had 11 touchdowns and 2 picks in the first 4 games of the year. And then you see this next 3 to 4 game stretch where he throws 7 interceptions in 3 games. And it's stuff like that. Like that's like, dude, you can't I thought Georgia Tech had a chance to be really good last year because they left a lot of meat on the bone. The one thing that's concerning is the schedule last year was much easier than it is this year.
Yeah, and you basically got a gift win against Miami because for all intents and purposes, you had lost that game if Miami just takes a knee.
Right.
So,
right.
And then you don't go to a bowl, and it's not as successful a season. But I will say there's a lot of optimism around the program right now. And look, for Florida State, they lost a lot of talent. Obviously, went undefeated in the regular season, won the ACC. You lose your QB, who'd been there for at least 18 years. DJU comes in, who's also been in college for a long time.
Jesus
a lot
Christ.
of talent, but never's really put it all together on the field. It's not like he's a bad QB. He's just not what he was supposed to be, which was the number 1 overall recruit in the country. Started 28 games at Clemson. Played last year at Oregon State. Threw for 2,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 picks. So just kind of what he is. He's just he's a good QB. Not much more than that.
But can I push back on that for a second?
Yeah.
How old is DJU?
He's probably 23, 24, I'd say.
He came in the same year as Bryce Young. Remember, those are the top 2 quarterbacks in the country that year.
Yeah.
And some places had him ranked ahead of Bryce. Now, those people were fucking stupid. But, I think that this is a situation with DJU where it felt like Clemson and Dabo were never going to create an offense and a situation for him to be comfortable in. Like,
right.
They were never going to make the offense like, hey, these are your strengths. Nope. I mean, dude, Clemson, for all intents and purposes, man, it's just a fucking, it's Bud Kilmer and it's a high school football coach that's like, nope, this is the way we do it. You wear a collared shirt off the bus and you guys better make sure you shave and I want you to get a haircut. Like,
we ain't taking no transfer portal kids. I'll tell you that much right now.
Fucking annoying. It is like, it is so weird, like 1960s, like buttoned up, like drinking milk every night for dinner type shit. And he was never going to be a good fit there. I thought he played really well at Oregon State at times. He was a good quarterback out there. I think it was perfect for him because he went out and got kind of pushed under the radar because he was so far away from the Southeast. It's not as crazy out there. He comes back to Florida State now. He's become the butt of a lot of jokes. Like that fucking Circle K commercial didn't help. But good for him for going to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I say all that to say this. In the last 2 years or so, there's been multiple examples of transfer quarterbacks that are around this age that the light just comes on.
Yeah.
Like it just comes on. And all of a sudden it's like, I mean, dude, like this is like his 5th or 6th year. I think it's his 5th year in college. So it's like, he's got a ton of experience. He's faced a ton of good teams. Like, he played against Georgia. I think his first year was 2020. Remember, because that was the year Trevor Lawrence was at
he was against Notre Dame, and DJU came and just lit it up. I'm like, oh,
right.
So we go from Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence to this kid.
Right. Yeah. And so it just felt like, it never came to fruition, at least in Clemson. But I kind of feel like if there's a guy that I'm looking at that Like you look at the Joe Burrow year where he had 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in 2018, then goes in 2019 and is like the best quarterback we've ever seen in college. Like, I'm not saying he's going to do that, but Hendon Hooker, we saw do it. Stetson Bennett, we saw do this. Like, he's a good quarterback. I think that he could have a massive season at Florida State.
He could. The issue is the receiver room is not what it's been the last few years. Malik Benson, who did virtually nothing at Alabama. Now he was there for a year, came in from JUCO. There's potentially
number one receiver in the country coming out of JUCO.
Yeah, number one JUCO player and receiver coming out of JUCO. I think he had 13 catches and like
21 total targets.
Yeah. So on a Bama team that didn't really have until the end of the year like a real go-to guy at first. So he's looked really good in camp. He's been definitely the best player, but that kind of concerns me because he hasn't really done anything before in his career at this level. So
right.
A lot of speed at receiver, a lot of speed on the team in general. Norvell said this is his strongest, fastest team he's had since he's been in Tallahassee. So some of the most talented players on the team are like true freshmen.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting year. Roydell Williams has looked good. He'll be a co-starter.
You're going to love him, man.
Yeah.
You're going to love that kid. Like, he runs so fucking hard, man.
Yeah, I love it. He'll be like Benson was a little bit, not as fast, but and then Lawrence Toafili, he'll be an underrated back this year. 190 career starts along the O-line. They've beefed up a ton. It's probably the best O-line since the championship season as far
Florida
as
State?
Yeah.
Didn't y'all have like 230 last year?
Not as far as career starts. I'm talking about like talent. Like it's going to be the best O-line that we've had talent-wise since 2013, probably.
You guys have 190 career starts on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, that's 38 per player.
It's a lot.
Is that real?
That's real.
I feel like we talked about this last year going into the year.
Yeah, a lot of guys were back. I mean, we took a guy like Richie Leonard from Florida. He's a redshirt senior. He started at Florida for the last like 3 years. So he hasn't started at Florida State, but he has all those career starts in the SEC.
Good job.
Defensive line won't be as good as last year. You had a first and a second round guy come off the line, but the depth is better. Marvin Jones Jr. from transfer over from Georgia back to where he always belonged at Florida State. They said he's looked really good at camp, but he's never shown it in games at Georgia, so we'll see. But they said that he looks freaky. He was probably playing out of position at Georgia. They had him as an outside linebacker. Pat Payton's a really good D end. I think
projected first rounder.
Yep, projected first rounder again, which would be 3 drafts in a row with a D end in the first round, which is nice. Linebacker's gonna be a liability, which is what scares me against Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
and secondary should be one of the best in the country. Special teams, top 10 unit. Like special teams is gonna be really good. First game of the year, like I said, always scares me. I'm ready to give my prediction though. You don't know what it's gonna look like on the field. I think this is gonna be a very close game for the first half. We might even be losing in the first half at halftime.
Yeah,
but I think back to pretty much every big game that Florida State has, which your opener is always going to be a big one, especially on a stage in another country. You're the only game on. Norvell always comes to play. He always has the team prepared. Last year, our best game was against LSU.
He doesn't play in the games, but it's fine.
Yeah, I got you. Last year against LSU, like he had that team ready to go. It was probably the best they looked all year was in that first game. So that gives me more confidence. The weird thing is the whole Ireland thing, totally different time zone. I know they went out there today, I believe. Apparently the field is like never in good. I don't watch a lot of these Ireland games typically because it's usually like Nebraska, Wake Forest or something like that.
Right.
But apparently the field's always like in terrible shape. Guys can't keep their feet. So it's kind of be a weird game. I almost want to, even though I like both offenses, I almost want to look at the under 55.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll be close, but I think Florida State pulls away in the end. 35-20. Score 2 late scores to make it look worse than it was.
35-20.
Yep.
I don't hate that. I'll be honest with you. This is our first pick of the year, and I'm going to I'm the line as we've started the show to now has gone down again.
Is it 9.5 or
it's
10?
10?
Jesus.
I really like Georgia Tech this year going into year 2 with Brent Key. And I will admit, as all of you know, I love Georgia Tech being from Atlanta. It has nothing to do with my hatred for Tyler that is very real, but we just don't talk about because we're stuck doing the show together. That being said, listen, if they win, I'm going to be happy for you, man. I really am.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pull for Tech.
You're going to be sad inside. I get
What's
it.
that?
But you're going to be sad inside. I get it.
Not really. I mean, like, I'm going to take. I mean, if you were smart like me, you got Georgia Tech at 13.
Yeah.
I feel like the under is not a bad play, but I started thinking about some of these other games that they were there. Like I don't remember what the Notre Dame score was last year, but they were playing Navy, who sucked. That was I remember whatever the bet was, we won it. Mm-hmm. And I will say the year before was I think Northwestern and Nebraska. And that was I felt like a pretty high scoring game, like high 20s, maybe it's like 29-27 or something weird. There was Nebraska blew a lead in that, lost by single digits or lost by one score. I like Georgia Tech over 10. If you can get it in double digits, I like it. I do. Mm-hmm. And I will take that as because I want to have some action in the first game. My best bet of the game for this game and for all of week 0. Okay. And I made a whole graphic for it. So let's make sure we use it for the 3 seconds it's going to be up. Boom. DJU over 1.5 passing touchdowns in this game. That's my first best bet of the year. Okay. I kind of wanted to take Haynes King, but dude, I looked at this because it's only 1.5. Mm-hmm. Right. You look at his numbers from a year ago, there's only 4 games in the regular season where he had less than 1 passing touchdown. And one of those games was against Georgia late in the year. Like I said, he came out of the gates last year, man, and he went, let me add these up real quick, 15 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in the month of September. So he had more than half of his overall season total for passing touchdowns in the very first month. He got to a good start. I think I want to take him at over 1.5 touchdowns, but it's plus 170 and minus 220 or something. Yeah.
For no?
For no.
Oh, wow.
It's it's very odd. You look at the lines on it. God, I'm so fucking happy to be talking about this right now. Georgia Tech first half is plus 6.5. The total is over 27.5 as well. I'm going to take an easy pick to start because if we're doing best bets, I'm taking Florida State to win the first half. Okay. It's minus 250, not great odds, but we're trying to get fucking dubs, man. We're trying to get dubs and build this money here for the season. So the 3 bets I would take on this, like I said, first half money line. Georgia Tech plus 10.5, even though you should have got it 13. And then DJU over 1.5 touchdowns, and that's my lock of the week for this game.
I love it.
I think Georgia Tech's going to come out and play really, really well. Both teams are going overseas for a very long distance. I've been looking at Twitter, brother. I don't even know if they're going to play this game with all the civil unrest going on in Europe. You know what I mean?
I know.
You never know. Out of respect for you, I'm not going to pick Georgia Tech outright.
I don't care. You can. I'm nervous about it. You know what I see playing out in my head is it's off season of hell for Florida State fans. We got screwed, but and then they just lose the first game, and everyone just mocks us. That's what I've been envisioning in my head. But then my gut says, all right, just calm yourself. Norvell's a good coach. It's a very senior laden team.
Mm-hmm.
They can do this. Just get by this game. But yeah, this game does scare me a bit.
I think it should. And I think that Georgia Tech's gonna be better than people think this year too. I also just think that Florida State has too much talent on this team. You've also had an entire offseason with a chip on their shoulder. It wouldn't surprise me if they came out and we're let's fucking blow the doors off. We're fully healthy again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's blow the doors off these people and because there's no team in the country really that is, I don't want to say has a bigger chip on their shoulder because Georgia exists, Ohio State exists, mm-hmm. But there might not be a bigger team with a team with a bigger chip on their shoulder than the one whose fan base is furious still months later over a horrible thing that happened to them. So I will take Florida State to win outright. I'd like Georgia Tech to cover plus 13. And then, like I said, I already said the other best bets. The other best bet that I would take too, SMU minus 13.5 in the first half against Nevada. I think that, and I'll look at their QBs numbers as well. They're gonna come out fucking firing, dude. They're gonna come out fucking firing,
man. He's one of the better QBs in the country that's returning. 3,000, basically 3,200 yards, 28 TDs, 6 picks last year for him.
Yeah,
and he's a junior. So,
right.
Yeah, I think SMU they went 11-3 last year.
Dude, they're and like Rhett Lashley's whole thing is like let's put up as many points as we can.
Yeah.
So, passing props. I'm looking for it now. I don't see the pass TDs thing on DraftKings, but yeah, man, I like that a lot. I think that those two teams will. Like, I don't know about Nevada, but I do think that SMU is going to come out. Especially, that's another thing with their first game at a new place or in a new conference. Like, they're going to want to, like, I think, prove a point. I think also this might sound stupid, but like, I feel like they've got some juice to their offseason for whatever reason with SMU.
Well, they're apparently, they got a lot of money at SMU. So they're doing a lot of renovations, I believe, on their stadium. Their NIL, I think they're going to be a very good team in the ACC, actually.
I agree.
Even like this year, I think they could be a surprise team. Like we have to play them in Dallas in September. Like that's not going to be an easy game. It'll be a night game. It's their first ACC game.
Yeah.
The world is mad at Florida State for basically saying we don't want to be in this conference anymore, but they're still in it, so it's kind of awkward. Right. So yeah, I think that's. I mean, depending on how we look, like I might pick us to lose that game. There's some juju in that game for SMU.
So Preston Stone's numbers for his game, he went 28 touchdowns and 6 picks, like you said. It's 2.5 for total touchdowns in this game. I would take the over on that too. So that's what I got for the week 0 stuff. Should we get into our actual predictions now that we're 36 minutes in and we've only talked about 2 teams?
Yeah, you want to tell me who you think is gonna? Well, let's go conference by conference and pick the winner real fast.
Yeah, we'll try to make it quick. I know you guys are we appreciate you guys joining us on all the good stuff. We got a bunch of people in the chat and watching. Let's start with the ACC because it's the first one that's like I'm gonna against my better judgment. I'm gonna take Miami.
Really?
I just think they have so much talent.
But yeah.
Like they just have so much talent that they brought in, and I don't think that Mario Cristobal is a great coach, but I do think that you're going into year 2. I will say, the things that I love about head coaches is like he fits the mold on one of them, which is like what I saw with Coach O at LSU. Like he played there, even though Coach O didn't play at LSU, but like the job means a ton to Mario Cristobal. And this is a guy that people, I think Feinbaum, who you don't need to trust ever, but like. He even brought up a while back, like Mario Cristobal could be a replacement for Saban when he left because he's familiar with like the South and all that kind of stuff. Like, I know, but he did get a job at Oregon. He did get a job at Miami. He had success at Oregon. Like he had obvious shortcomings.
Didn't they beat Ohio State in Columbus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that was in 2021. I think that they are.
This is year 3 for Cristobal, by the way.
Yeah, you're right. There's just too much talent that they have. And no offense, but they're going to be playing in what is arguably the weakest conference in the country. So they don't have any home field advantage. I don't know where the fuck they play FSU. I think it's in Miami.
It is.
And I, but like I would assume when you're talking about trying to get to 10 wins and win the conference, because remember, like to make the playoff, all you have to do is just win your conference. You could go 9-3 and win the conference and get in. I don't think, I don't think anyone's even brought up the fact that's like, what if you go 12-0 in the regular season and win the conference, but you lose your conference championship game? I don't think you get a first round bye.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
It's the winner of the championship game.
But they'll still mean something.
For sure, but sure.
It's still going to be the playoff. But yeah, you don't get that first round bye. You do get to host a game on your campus, though, which is pretty sick.
What I'm saying is, all they need to do is one of those things. I think they will in this conference.
Yeah, I think Miami is going to be good. The problem is they're always good in the offseason, and Cristobal does tend to, especially at the quarterback position. Like he had Justin Herbert, who like everyone knew he had the skill because he did get enough for the first round, but he never did shit at Oregon. Like
no.
And then Tyler Van Dyke was he was about to transfer to Bama, and
6 straight 300-yard games.
Yeah, like he was really good the first year he played, and he did get injured, but he also just was regressing.
Yeah.
So Cam Ward, like, does he take the next step as a QB under Cristobal? I don't know. It's hard for me to pick them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they won the ACC.
Yeah.
I'm still going to go Florida State. We get Clemson at home, and possible rematch with Clemson in the ACC, or possible rematch with Miami in the ACC. But I think they've got a senior-laden team. I think Norvell is a much better coach than Cristobal, and we'll see on Clemson. I think they could surprise this year potentially if Klubnik takes a step. Their defense is going to be really good, but I'm gonna take Florida State to win the ACC.
Real quick on Klubnik taking a step. Clint Brewster from 247 Sports came out with an article today that was ranking every single Power 5 or Power 4 quarterback in the country 1 through 68. Do you want to take a guess where Cade Klubnik was?
I'm trying to see what angle you're taking here. I'm guessing you think it was a ridiculous ranking, so I'm gonna go like 18.
51.
Okay. I was actually that's what my gut would have been, is like pretty low. He hasn't done anything really.
No. But it's a highly recruited all that kind of stuff too. So I think that there's still also a chance that Florida could beat Miami. But again, the whole point of this is you need to win the conference. And I think that's one thing that we're going to start seeing way, way more of, is it's like, yeah, these like non-con games are going to be great, but it's like, and maybe it's good to schedule them because you're going to end up knowing who your team is, and it'll be good for your SO or strength of schedule, whatever.
You can afford a loss now, let's be honest.
Right. And so I will take Miami on it. I think Florida State will be in contention for it. Like I'm excited to see what y'all look like with coming back with Norvell, and he did a tremendous job in the portal, man. And it's been, I don't know if the fans have moved on, but he has, and I really like Mike Norvell. So let's give a quick prediction for the Big 12 real quick, because this might be my what do you call it? Biggest surprise team of the entire season. And go ahead.
Oh, you okay? I'll give mine quick, and then you can tell your surprise, because mine's not going to be a surprise. I was thinking Kansas State at first, but it's Utah until it isn't. All right.
Yeah,
Cam Rising coming back. They won the Pac-12, which was a better conference, twice with him at the helm. He was out last year. They took a little bit of a setback. I think they're always going to have a good defense. Cam Rising's back. I think Big 12 has the potential to be like the most like, what the hell's going on in this conference? Because you've got there's not like a lot of terrible teams. There's just a lot of like, everyone's pretty much the same.
Right.
Like Utah, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. I think Iowa State could be pretty good this year. Like I think there's UCF, like they could be really good. So I'm going Utah until Utah proves me wrong, because they always seem to surprise everybody every year. They're always good. So we'll go Utah.
I feel like I should be allowed with the teams that I have in mind. I feel like I should be allowed to have a if I was making a bet, like you should give me odds to pick one of two teams, because it's not Utah and it's not Kansas State. I agree with everything you said about Utah. Yeah, I know you know where I'm going with this. But I've got two that I think that I want to bundle them together. Okay. It's not Kansas State. Kansas State lost like 3 offensive linemen, and that's like been the staple of that program for the last couple of years, is like how tough. And they also lost their quarterback. I love the fact that Avery Johnson is a good player. I think he's coming in, but Will Howard was guaranteed for 2 touchdowns every single fucking game they had. Like he was a better quarterback. People think there's a reason why that kid's at Ohio State and not Kansas State, right? Like, so that's a huge loss. I love Utah. I am admittedly tired of Cam Rising, and I think it's strictly because of how his physical looks. I just am tired of looking at Cam Rising. Bro, just cut your fucking hair. It is. He's like he looks like what? He looks like if like Disney or Hallmark was forcing a Gardner Minshew movie. That's like what I feel like they would drum up. Like, this guy looks just like him. Like, no, he doesn't at all.
And Keanu Reeves would play the character.
He looks like he looks like he sleeps in jeans. So the two teams, I wasn't going to go this way until I've been doing all this stuff for LouisianaSports.net. Shameless plug. Make sure you guys go check out the site. Mock drafts. and top 100 players in the country. Dude, in the top 100 players, Arizona has 4 players that are ranked very high. I looked at a mock draft from Field Yates today on ESPN. 3 first-rounders. The receiver with a bunch of R's and vowels in his name that I'm not going to try to pronounce.
McMillan?
Yeah. I think his first name is like Terrataria or something.
Yeah.
Terrarium McMillan. Which reminds me, I need to order a pizza here. And then the other one, then they have an offensive lineman as well, a cornerback.
Yeah.
And then Fafita, who's not included in the draft because he's only a sophomore. Like, they have some really talented guys at some really important positions. I don't know with a first-year coach it's going to translate into them winning, but I'm going to bundle them with UCF.
Okay.
I think that Gus Malzahn as a coach was built for this shit league. Like, he was built to be in a Power 4 conference that goes up against teams like Cincinnati and Houston and BYU.
Yeah.
And more than anything, dude, when Gus Malzahn has like a quarterback that he can actually utilize, he's good. I'm not comparing this person to Cam Newton.
Yeah, but physical stature at least.
KJ Jefferson is a really good college quarterback. He's also, like we talked about earlier with DJU, he's been in college, it seems like, for fucking ever. I was shocked when he left Arkansas. He's not as fast as some of those guys, and he's not a dual threat guy. He's a passing quarterback that can run and be really physical. I think he's gonna fucking feast in this league, dude. Like, it's a 3-year starting quarterback in the SEC that like was a household name in 2021 and then just had nothing around him the past couple of years. He's in the Big 12. He's gonna get to play against like Colorado type teams and defenses. Fuck yeah. So that's what I got.
No, I think UCF's gonna be a fun team to watch this year.
Yeah.
Kansas, don't ever count out Lance Leipold, and then Oklahoma State should be good too. So they'll be fun. All right, let's go to the Big 10 here. Do we both have Ohio State winning this, or do you have somebody else?
I have Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean Oregon's gonna be good. They're gonna be in the mix for the championship, I think.
They'll make the playoff.
Yeah. And then let's move to the SEC real fast. We'll talk more about Ohio State when we get to national stuff. SEC championship, I'll just go first. I'm going to take the Dogs. I think they got the most talent. Texas, it sucks that they lost CJ Baxter for the year because I thought he's going to be a stud this year. First year in the SEC, they do play Georgia at home, but I'm still taking the Dogs this year. Who you got?
I mean, Alabama's going to be scoring 40 points a game, Tyler.
You think so?
That frontline defense and the first 11 dudes are going to be very, very good on defense. Jalen Milroe is the highest returning vote getter in the fucking country when it comes to the Heisman Trophy a year ago. Let's not forget that he beat Georgia a year ago. And I tell you what, all those starters that were out, they weren't on defense. Let's also not forget that in that game, when Georgia came back and pulled within 3, Tommy Rees and Nick Saban put the game in Jalen Milroe's hands, and he beat Georgia. That being said, Georgia's the best team in the country. Georgia is going to win the SEC. I will give you a hot take on this, though. Part of me thinks that they play 3 top 6 teams on the road.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's not a chance in hell they finish with less than 10 wins. There's not. I would love it if they did, but there's no way. Georgia will win the SEC, but if they don't, I think, Tyler, there's a better chance of them winning the national title without winning the SEC than winning the national title with winning the SEC, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think part of Kirby is like, dude, like, because you know how Kirby is a lot like Saban, where it's like, I have so much clay to work with and mold. I shouldn't do this with my hands like this, but like I have so much clay I can mold here of like, oh no, we lost the game. Like now we get to go harder in practice.
Yeah.
We you know what I mean? If Georgia goes 10-2 with that schedule, which is a legitimate top 5 to 10 schedule in the country, 3 top 6 teams like all on the road, Yeah, I'm not even talking about Clemson in there.
Yeah,
Dude.
no, it's not your typical Georgia schedule, I would say.
They are going to, in my opinion, they're going to handle Bama by double digits. I'm interested to see what it looks like on the road against Texas, because we have seen in the very, very small sample size of Kirby Smart struggling as a head coach. I mean, dude, they haven't lost a regular season game in 3 years. They've only lost 2 games in 3 years, and they're both to Alabama and Nick Saban. He's gone. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them against Texas and having to go up against Sark and being able to scheme people open and all that kind of shit. Let's keep in mind that Sark was the OC at Bama in 2020. I don't think he has that kind of talent, but like he fucking diced up.
He's got some pretty damn good talent, though.
He does. He diced up Georgia in that game against in Bryant-Denny. And so did Mullen, right? Like we've seen creative play callers. So like I'm excited to see maybe what Lane does, even though they got their shit kicked. That's not a phrase, but last year. I think that
it was almost a phrase. If you said shit kicked in.
I didn't want to say that. That sounded weird.
Oh, well, that's
Was that just because that feels like it means something bad about your butthole, and I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, you got your ass kicked. I mean,
yeah. So I'm going to pick Georgia to win. I am going to say that they are going to play Texas because I think Texas' schedule is just too fucking easy. Now, do you want to give your Heisman pick real quick?
By the way, welcome to the SEC, Kalen DeBoer. Your first SEC game is against Georgia.
Dude, I just looked up Wisconsin, and Wisconsin has Phil Longo as their OC. That's a nightmare.
Don't forget about USF. I'm not even making a joke about last year. Like, they're going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah. Will they come to
Heisman? So I'm going to go with the top 5 here, and then I'll give you my winner.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Carson Beck and Dylan Gabriel are the ones I think are the obvious two. Cam Ward. Let's see. This is where I'll give Miami some love. Cam Ward, I could see putting up big numbers this year.
Mm-hmm.
If Miami's good, he'll be there. And then 2 non-QBs, Luther Burden, Quinshon Judkins.
Ooh.
But my winner, this guy's going to be, by the end of this season, as long as he stays healthy, the all-time yards leader in the NCAA and passing touchdowns in the NCAA. Dylan Gabriel. Oregon's going to have a really good year.
Yeah.
He's in a really good QB system. How about Bo Nix? Kind of looking pretty decent in preseason there.
That named the starter.
Yeah, he got named the Denver Broncos starter.
It just goes to show you what kind of, like, when given the right opportunity, Brian Harsin can develop talent. So,
and I think Oregon. We'll get to our picks here in a bit, but I think Oregon's gonna make some noise this year. I think Gabriel will put up. I think with Carson Beck, you know, you've obviously got a really good running back in ETN as well. I don't know if Carson Beck will put up the numbers. He'll be in the mix just because they'll be the best team in the country, and he will put up good numbers. But I think Gabriel will put up more like eye-popping numbers. So I'm going to go Dylan Gabriel, Heisman winner.
So I wanted to say Carson Beck, and then I looked at his player props, and I knew what it was, but it was like 3,200 is not enough to win a Heisman. I mean, like in this day and age, like you have to have a gaudy year, and you saw last year that if you can put up a gaudy year like Jaden Daniels did, even if you're on a 9-3 team, you can win. So, with that being said, I will give you my finalists. I think. What are you saying?
Jalen Milroe. I know you're doing.
Oh, Jalen Milroe's a finalist for sure.
Yeah,
he's 1,000% gonna be a finalist. He is. Dude, they're just gonna put up so many numbers in that offense. So Jalen Milroe is one of them.
Throwing to Jeremy.
I hate that name so much. That is the Brennan of Jeremy. I figured out that Jeremy. That's the worst name. All right, so here's my finalists. I'm gonna say Jalen Milroe. I'm gonna say Travis Hunter from Colorado. I know.
Okay.
I'm going to say. I don't want to say Quinshon because I don't think he is going to put up enough numbers. Okay.
Just because he does split the backfield with another really talented back. And
right.
Jeremiah Smith, dude. I can't wait to see that kid play.
I can't wait. And they still have a boot.
Yeah,
old EMC squared, man. Come on now. Dylan Gabriel. I think Carson Beck does get invited because I think they're going to be very, very good, and I think he'll put up some numbers, and they will be a top-ranked team in the country, right? And then I will say, I don't want to say Jackson Dart because I don't think he's going to put up enough numbers, but I'm going to say Jackson Dart.
Okay.
And it's between him and DJU. I really do think that DJU is going to put up a crazy season this year because it's. I know that sounds stupid. There's not a lot to believe in with him, but it just fits the mold of what we've seen the past several years in a row, right? We're getting lazy because we're talking about preseason. I don't know how to tell you this, but almost the entire year is preseason about college football. So the winner, and this is bad, Tyler, because I don't shit on him, but I told you I wasn't a huge believer in them yet. But I got Dylan Gabriel as well. I hate to have the same pick, but who's the running back at Oregon?
Well, it was Bucky Irving. It is now Jordan James.
You had to look it up, right?
I did.
Who's the receiver they have?
Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden, and Evan Stewart.
That is a lethal weapon there for him.
Yeah.
I think they go 11-1 in the season, and potentially, they'll be in the mix to win the Big Ten. I think the numbers that he's going to put up are going to be crazy, just because the numbers that they always put up in the like whoever wins the Heisman are usually what wins. All right, let's kind of breeze through this real quick. Playoff surprise teams. I've got I think SMU's gonna be better than people think. I think Auburn's gonna be better than people think, but I don't think that Auburn gets over 8 to 9 wins. Tennessee is my surprise team. I think they end up making the college football playoff with 10 wins in the regular season. I think they are better than Mizzou and LSU, and they will be ranked higher than them at the end of the year. And they will be the 4th SEC team to make the playoff. Surprise player, Drew Allar from Penn State. People forget because of how bad he looked a year ago. Drew Allar had 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions at Penn State. He's a year, further into his development at Penn State. They don't have Michigan on the schedule. I believe they drop either Michigan or Ohio State. It's one of those teams. I think it's Michigan. He will have more primetime games to be in front of a larger audience, and he's a very good quarterback. So I think he will be my breakout player, freshman breakout player, Cam Coleman from Auburn. So there you go.
I'll go Jeremiah Smith there. Okay, surprise teams for me. I think Clemson could surprise.
We got owned by Jay. It was my fault. Shouldn't say we, is me.
That was
Talking about Bo Nix. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Clemson, I think, could surprise if Klubnik takes a step. Apparently, they get 2 freshman receivers that are like the best receivers on the team already, very highly talented. I had SMU on my squad as well. NC State, I think, could have a surprise year. So there's a couple teams from the ACC. Texas A&M, a lot of returning talent. Yeah. A better coach, I think. Like Jimbo was a very good recruiter and evaluator of talent, but I don't think he was a great culture builder or game day coach. I think you'll get that with Elko. Iowa, like, let's keep in mind they won 10 games last year and had the worst offense maybe of all time.
Did you see Cade McNamara's stat line from the first scrimmage they had?
Well, it's great defense.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Hold on.
Iowa could look if their offense is worse than it was last year. I'll get an Iowa tattoo. I'm not gonna actually do it.
Flip that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel like I owe like 78 tattoos. All right, here you go. Cade McNamara's unofficial stats in Iowa scrimmage yesterday. This is from August 11th. You ready for this? 8 of 24.
Ooh.
If he's 8 of 24, how many yards do you think he threw for? Just give me your best guess.
That's going to be real low, like 16.
20. Oh. Tyler, he averaged 0.8 yards per attempt.
Damn it.
That's like my internet speed numbers. He did throw 1 touchdown. However, it was to the other team. It was a pick 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, also, I love the fact that 247 Sports came out with their freshman All-Americans, and they did special teams too. And Iowa had the punter. I guess they're breaking in a new punter this year. So
got to. All right, let's go with your top 12 teams, so the teams that make the playoffs, and then we'll go to Final Four, national championship game, national championship. Right?
Okay.
Doesn't have to be the seeding.
Yeah, I'm not. I probably won't even list 12.
Yeah.
I think Liberty gets in because I think they go 12-0.
Yep, I got them.
They have the lowest. They have the worst strength of schedule in the entire country. I don't think they lose, and they have so much talent coming back. So I got Liberty there. In the Big Ten, I'll say the number one overall seed I think is going to be Ohio State.
Okay.
Georgia 2, 3 I think will be Miami. 4 will be somebody from the Big 12. So either Arizona or UCF is what I'll say.
Okay.
And then 5, starting at 5, I'm going to go Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
6, I'm going to take Texas. 7, and I'll just from 7 to 11. So how many teams do I have left?
You got
4.
Okay.
Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee. Not in that order, but that's Tennessee. And then the other 2, I will say Penn State and Ole Miss.
Okay. I've got a similar. What was there a reason you didn't want to do 12? Just
I did 12.
Oh, I thought you said 11. Okay. Georgia, Ohio
what
State.
do you know? Homer, Chris Marler leaves out Bama from his 12-team playoff.
Yep. Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, and Utah. The 4 champions.
Fair.
Then we'll go Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Liberty, Missouri.
Okay.
Penn State.
Better.
Kansas State. After that one in there at 12. And
2
then
Big 12 teams.
Your boys, Alabama. All right, who you got in the Final Four? I don't even know if my Final Four would actually happen with seeding, but
yeah, I don't either.
This is the top 4 teams.
Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, and Notre Dame.
Okay, I got Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas.
That's good.
Who's in your national championship game?
Dude, I feel like this is the fucking 3rd or 4th straight year I've done this. It's Georgia and Ohio State.
Okay. I threw a curveball in there. Georgia versus Oregon.
I like that. I like that a lot. God, that would be Georgia fans would be fucking insufferable if that happens because, dude, like outside of me, I don't think a lot of Bama fans are like, man, I'm happy for Georgia's success because they're really good. Georgia fans talk about Oregon like in the most thinly veiled, fake, like taking credit for their success because of like, no, dude, honestly, they're recruiting at a really high level because Dan Lanning, he gets it. Like,
yeah,
we get it, man. He coached at Georgia for like 2 years. We fucking get it. We got it.
He also coached under Mike Norvell before he went to Georgia. I'm just saying.
He did.
All right. Let's get to our national champion. You've got Georgia versus Ohio State.
Yeah.
I've got Georgia versus Oregon. You ready? On the count of 3?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Georgia.
God damn it. Ugh. We can say GD now because we don't work for Saturday night. Like, listen, I think Ohio State is the most talented roster in the country. I think that they're going to be really good. I would, dude, if we get anything fucking close to what we got 2 years ago in that Peach Bowl, I would love it. But the way this is going to be set up and the way I've seen, like, right, people, I hope, part of me hopes that Ohio State wins it, not just because of the Georgia factor, but because of Ryan Day. I'm tired of God damn it. Somebody said 4th and Dogs.
4th and Dogs, baby. That's the new name for the season.
But like, I think the Ryan Day hate is so fucking stupid and ill-informed because it's like, again, more first-round draft picks than total losses. He has 8 losses as a head coach. 6 of those have been to college football playoff teams. 3 of those have been to teams that won the national championship. Like, let's not forget what he did to Georgia a couple years ago. Ohio State would have won the national championship if they didn't lose to one of the best teams we've seen in forever. So I think that Evan does not need a podcast. I mean, maybe he does. I would listen to it, but still. I just think that I think Ohio State, like I said, is the 1 seed. I think they are going to be the better team. But, dude, you're like...
I'm taking Georgia.
Give me the pregame speech alone as to why Kirby and Georgia will win that fucking game.
Yep. So there it is, folks. We're done with the preseason.
How many years in a row have I picked Georgia to win the national championship now? I think it's 4.
I mean, you were only wrong once.
Yeah, that's insane.
The next time we go live, Florida State will have played a game, potentially have lost the game. Chris is going to be so it's going to be so aggressive.
I'm just so fucking happy that it's back, man.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about this. Like, I've been working, dude. I've been working so hard, but it's like not in comparison to anyone. It's just what normal people do.
Yeah.
Like I've been getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, Tyler, and only taking one nap a day. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, listen. Season's here. When we go live on Sunday, we'll be talking about results of games. Next Wednesday, we'll be previewing a monster week 1. I'm fired up. Don't forget, if you want to call this weekend, I know most of you don't have games, but if you want to get your shit talk in early, 770. Chris, can you show it on even if it's white, if you can't see us, show it on the screen. 770-674-8233. Angry Fans Hotline. Give us a call. Leave us a message. We are so back. We are so ready.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Football season once again.
Good work, dude. That was fun. Thanks to the listeners and viewers and all that kind of stuff. We'll be back on Sunday, like you said.
Bang.
Boom.